Evening, folks. How are we all doing? If you haven't guessed, I'm solo tonight. Andrew's feeling a little bit under the weather tonight, so he will be back with us for the Stoke game. So just hope he feels a bit better over the next coming days. Hope you're all having a really, really good week so far. It's another match preview. It's another game. We've got so many games in such a short space of time coming up for Leeds United. We will get to chat as well tonight as we go through this. It's nice to see everybody showing up in the house tonight. Great to see everybody. We're going to do the usual stuff. We'll go through the top line stuff of the week. We'll go through the form guide that we are experiencing currently as Leeds United fans, and also look at Huddersfield's form guide as well. Comments from the managers as well leading into the game. And then we'll break down the team news from both sides as well, and then some statistics to keep an eye on over the course of the game. And just to be aware of in general, there won't be the usual stats level of stats, Andrew's level of stats on this. They're his. They're very important. His stats have been used now, I think, at this stage by Sky Sports News or Sky Sports recently, ITV, BBC, and regular with Brynlaw on LUTV as well. Loads of people in the chat tonight. 56 here currently at the moment. If you want to hit a little like on that, that would be great as well. Pushes the video out to more people, lets them see that we're live and that we're talking. So, yeah, cracking evening, folks. Miserable day in Ireland. Rainy, windy, snowing in parts of Ireland. Not where I am. I'm on the coast, so it's a little bit less frozen and a more liquid version of the weather. So, yeah, Friday evening, survived the week. Congratulations, you made it. We're all here. We got through it. It was a mad Friday. This time last week, Leeds United beating Leicester in what was probably the most emotional I've been in a very long time as well. So, yeah, looking for a more relaxed game tonight, as everyone is saying in chat. A much more chilled out weekend for Leeds would be great as well. We get the score predictions towards the back end of this tonight. We won't be here long. It'll be short enough as usual. A bit shorter. Myself here as well. Graham saying he just listened to Rutter on a chat podcast and he said he's good and ready to go. We've got some good news coming into the weekend. We've got some very good news. John Redshaw going to hospital tomorrow for heart stent, so can't watch the game. Living in Huddersfield, that's well hard to cope with. Hopefully gonna watch it back. Jason, had some heart issues myself recently. Look after yourself. I hope that goes well. More importantly than anything else, I hope you feel better and that goes okay for you, mate. Best of luck with that. And as everyone is saying, Jason, best of luck with that and best wishes, mate. West Yorkshire Retro Gamer in the house. I'm good. I'm doing good. Less stressful week this week. The chest is good. It's been good this week. Much more chilled out week, and hopefully it stays that way over the weekend. If you haven't seen it last night, I want to talk a little bit about the under 18s last night, who put in an absolutely phenomenal performance against Liverpool in the quarterfinals of the FA Youth Cup. And I always talk about this, and the reason I want to talk about it is it's very important for Leeds' future. The FA Youth Cup is always a good barometer of the quality and the class of the young players that are coming through your club at any given moment. And Leeds have had some really good teams in the past that have done very, very well in the FA Youth Cup. I go back to Stephen McPhail's year, go back to Gary Kelly before that as well. Teams that did very, very well. It's always a good barometer. As somebody said today on the news video as well, fingers crossed they all turn 18 soon so we can tie them down to contracts and keep the Wolves away from the door. It's a really talented group of players. Leeds have done some very shrewd business with the Scottish transfers they've looked at. Rory Mahady, Josh McDonald, Louis Peary, amongst a few. Josh McDonald very, very good yesterday. Young Max McFadden in the mid and the wings looks sensational. If they can replicate that form as they get older, it's a really strong position. I'm going back to my notes because I wrote down a lot of names yesterday. I want to make sure I don't forget any of the kids because they were really, really, really good. Rory Mahady in goal. First half, he played as a sweeper keeper, pretty much was parked in just behind the Leeds midfield at several points in the first half. Looked really, really good there as well. Yeah, Freddie Lane, what a game he had yesterday as well. Murray Wilson up front had a tougher day at the office than he normally has, was kicked about quite a lot, but he was still very involved in Leeds' second goal. It's a really good side. And I said if on today's news video, if they can replicate the current trend that they're on as they get older into the under-21s, this is a good group. This is a really, really good group of young players coming through. You never get all of them. People peak at different times. Players that look great at 15, 16, 17 don't always peak. I said it when I was 15, 16. I wasn't playing a whole lot of football. By 18, I was playing for Shamrock Rovers. It happens. It changes. People peak at different times, and they should be given that time as well. But it is interesting to see the caliber that we've got here and what will happen with them over time. Rory Mahady specifically, if he ends up being or shows the level that he currently has, commanding his area, distribution from the back is reactions as well, covering his goal. Very, very good. He made a save for a borderline penalty claim from Liverpool in the second half where he had committed himself, held his hand back at the very last second, put his hand out and grabbed the ball. There was a keeper I used to play with called Ken Hughes, who used to call lazy hands, who would dive for a ball, you'd convince it was in the back of the net, and then his hand would just stick up at the last second and save it. And when I saw Mahady last night, or Mahadi, whatever way they're pronouncing it, it reminded me very much of Ken. He's Mahady looks like a proper young talent. So it's going to be interesting. If you haven't seen it, even just go watch the extended highlights. It's worth watching. It was an exciting game of football. I think there was 300 or 400 people went down to Ellen Road last night to watch the game as well. And as West Yorkshire Retro Gamer says, Mahady commanding the centre circle, let alone his own box. He was all across the first half. He plays very high, very, very high. Nice to see a back post goal as well. Very similar to Mateo Joseph's goal during the week for Leeds. Must be something they're working on in the back end at Leeds as well. But yeah, look. All good. All really, really good stuff there. I've lost my notes now. There we go. Obviously, the Chelsea game has come and gone. Very good performance from Leeds, especially from Archie Gray in the middle of the park. Could end up playing in the middle of the park against Huddersfield, looking at the potential injury list heading into the game at the weekend. We'll get to that in a few minutes. And Mateo Joseph has very much, for me, put himself right in the manager's window. Retro Gamer can just keep me honest on that. Yeah, 3,460 was the attendance last night. Fantastic. I think it was 300 people in the East stand. So, yeah, that's great, isn't it? That's brilliant. I mean, a lot of these lads would never have played in a stadium that big as well. To get that experience is huge. So it was really good. Really, it was a very exciting game. I got really into watching it last night. So I do highly recommend, if you haven't watched it, you might not be into youth football, under 18s football, but it's good. It's a good game of football. And Leeds dominated it. Absolutely dominated. Tired legs towards the end where Liverpool's goal came from, but very much Leeds could have put 6 or 7 past them easily. They will play Millwall in the semi-final now, which should give them a path to the final. It'd be interesting to see who we get there as well. I think Chelsea were mentioned as well, of a good youth side. So it's going to be interesting. It's a good barometer. Go check it out. Getting into the game, then heading into this weekend's lunchtime kickoff with Huddersfield. Been a lot of talk about this game, but an awful lot of talk from Huddersfield side. Not a huge amount from the Leeds United side. It seems to be that their new manager, Brighton Writer, is very much trying to big up the local derby to maybe get a reaction from his players. He said a couple of things about Leeds spending power, David versus Goliath. What he said about Leeds when he got the job, first of all, was that in his home country, Huddersfield were better known than Leeds. And that was an answer that came without any prompting about Leeds. He just volunteered that. Now, it's very much a way of endearing yourself to your new fan base, but probably not based on a whole lot of truth there as well. Again, we have a German manager who has won 2 promotions to the Premier Division, was in the Premier League with Norwich, so his history will be known. Leeds have had German players. Robin Koch, obviously, German international player for Leeds in the Premier League as well. Strange comment to make, but again, you can probably see it from the angle of trying to endear himself to the club. He's gone on then in his press conference to refer to this game as a David versus Goliath match, them being David, us versus Goliath, which is probably fair enough to say when you look at the league table. But he's very much likened it to Leeds' spending power, which was interesting, where he basically said Leeds had a £200 million transfer budget, which it perked my interest to go, I think I'll do the maths on this and see, is he actually right on this? Because he's definitely not. It gets said an awful about Leeds' £170 million front line, which really isn't the case outside of Georgina Rutter being 35 million. Chris Somerville was 1.5 million, Jorginho, Willie Nanto 1.7 million, and Pat Bamford 5 million, I think, at the time. So definitely not a 75 million pound front line. These figures get thrown around quite a lot. So 200 million pound transfer kitty that Leeds had. The reality of it, and I looked into it, Leeds spent 29.8 million pounds this year, but Leeds also brought in 27.9 million pounds this year, which means Leeds' net spend for the championship this season was 1.9 million pounds, which is a far cry from the 200 million that he threw out today, which again, it's mad. It's mad. Yes, lots of talk coming from Huddersfield, and you just want to go out and do a job. As Phil Hayes says on a regular basis, just go and win the fucking game. Just go and win the match. Get it done. Form guide wise, we'll get into this now. In terms of form guide, Leeds 9 wins in the league in a row. If Leeds can win at the lunchtime televised kickoff tomorrow on Sky, this Leeds team will become the most winningest side in Leeds United history. The record is 9. We've tied that. If they get a league win on Saturday, 10 league wins in a row will be Leeds' all-time winning record, which is a phenomenal thing to say when you think about last season for Leeds and you think about the problem we had in the summer this year as well. Leeds second in the table, 6 points behind Leicester, level on points with Ipswich in third. Leeds ahead on goal difference, a significantly stronger goal difference. Their matches this weekend are ones to keep an eye on as well. Southampton will are home. No, they're travelling to Brighton. Right the first time. I was right the first time. Southampton travelling to Brighton in that game of Birmingham. Try this again. Southampton are travelling to Birmingham in this week's game, right? You would imagine a win for Southampton in that match there as well. Leicester will be at home to Queen's Park Rangers. Again, QPR's travelling record, not great. You would imagine that they win that game. The one to keep an eye on is Ipswich will be travelling to Plymouth, who've got a very good home record. We've played them a lot this year. We know what they're capable of, can get goals as well. So it'll be interesting to see the Ipswich one. That's the kind of one we're hoping for a hiccup in. Russell Martin at Southampton losing to a very, very young, inexperienced Liverpool side 3-0 in the FA Cup during the week as well. They've had a couple of defeats now. Russell Martin looks a little bit rattled. He's been a bit outspoken against his team, talking about they've got everything except for tactics, everything including tactics in order to be a success, putting the blame very much on them. Very Frank Lampard-esque moves by him. Will the players react to it? It's the wrong kind of the year, I think, to start losing the dressing room. If you want your players, look at Daniel Farke, how he handled the issues we had this year. Very much took the blame on his own shoulders, took it away from the players, shielded them, moved on. Not a big deal. You lose a game, next game. Russell Martin seems to be very much bothered by the form that Southampton are in at the moment, unless they're having their little wobble as well. So interesting to see the reactions that they will get. In terms of Huddersfield, 3 wins and 2 defeats in their last 5 games, 19th in the table. But Brighton Writer did get his first win in his first game for Huddersfield, a 2-1 away win at Watford, who were really, really poor in that game. Should also be said about this as well. This will be Brighton Writer's first home league game as the new manager of Huddersfield. So he will want a performance from his team. Explains why he's doing all the bigging up and all the comments he's making as well to try and, I suppose, make a siege mentality, I suppose, with the squad there as well. As I said, the David versus Goliath comment were made. It probably is true. Leeds need to go, do what they've done this year, get out early, get a goal early, put the game to bed, and then move on to the next game. Leeds just need to be regimented with how they approach things now. Get the win, do the job, move on. They should have a big boost. They were phenomenal against Chelsea during midweek, and arguably Leicester played better against Leeds than Chelsea did. So Leeds know where they are. Stripper saying Pirro hat-trick. I think he'll come good. He'll have his moments between now and the end of the season. We've seen players come good at different points. I'm always a believer of just give players time. Give them lots of time. Give them lots of time. We've seen players prove us wrong in the past. Let's assume he'll prove us wrong. Best of luck, and I hope he does for us. In terms of team updates, we've got some news that came through today, yesterday from Daniel Farke's press conference. So some updates on this. Jorginho Rutter is good and healthy and will be involved tomorrow. He trained this week and is available for the game. Other good news: Chris Somerville and Pat Bamford also trained with the squad as well, and they should be fine heading into the game against Huddersfield. One to keep an eye on is Ilya Gruev. He is doing individual training work this week. Didn't take part in the team training. Was hoping that he would take some part in today's training, and that would be where they would judge his involvement tomorrow. What that means is a potential for Archie Gray to stay in the middle of the park along with Glenn Kamara. It means you'll lose that out-and-out number 6 in there. Maybe Glenn Kamara can go in and do that job. You're not going to see a change of anybody else coming in there. So that means Connor Roberts might keep his place at right back. We talked about players coming in and seizing the moment when they get their opportunities to be in the team for the run-in for the rest of the season. An injured Ilya Gruev at this point could now see somebody else move in, take that position, frees up Connor Roberts at right back. So again, shows the scale of the squad that we have here as well. Leeds House in the chat as well. Just a real quick one. I've linked it down below in the description of this video. Not Another League podcast are going live with their Friday podcast at 7:30 tonight. The link is down below in the description. Go check them out as well. It's a very different podcast than anybody else does. It's a lot of fun. Guess the Players were probably my favorite segment on the show. Go check them out. If you're done watching this at the end, go check them out. 7:30 they're going live as well. So the link is down below in the description. You can go check them out. And I would highly recommend it. It's a really fun podcast to watch. Other team news as well. Jamie Shackleton is still unwell. Pretty sick apparently by all accounts and won't be in the squad tomorrow. He is out of the game. And Joe Gelhardt has had some improvements on his back spasm. A bit of a loosening up of his back, but did do a little bit of light training. Pain is a lot less, but he will be a late call before he is put into the squad tomorrow. So it could be a similar looking squad that we saw against Chelsea with the additions then of Jorginho Rutter to the bench there, and obviously losing out on Ilya Gruev. From a Huddersfield perspective, they've got a mixed bag. They have a lot of injuries right now. Sora Thomas, who is a Welsh international, he is back available after being out for a while. He is their top assist maker this season for Huddersfield. Jonathan Hogg, back injury, will be a late fitness test for them, as will Jack Rodani will be a late fitness test for Huddersfield in that game as well. Rodinho Balker is out of the game. He was a January signing for them. And Michael Hellick, who is the club's top scorer, should be back after being out for the last month. He did play some part in a reserve team game last week and has trained all week. Delano Bergzog was very good against us actually the first time we played them. He should be involved in the game back after injury. On their players likely to miss again, Brody Spencer, Jolien Headley and Bojan Radulovic are expected to miss out on the game tomorrow. They've got quite a lot of injuries. So, yeah. Need to go capitalize. Right. In terms of statistics, things to keep an eye out or to know about the game coming into the match. Last 3 games against Leeds and Huddersfield. Leeds have won all 3 of their last 3 meetings with Huddersfield. But before that, Huddersfield have won the 3 before that. Or Leeds hadn't won in the 3 before that. Leeds have won 3 of their last 4 visits to Huddersfield. The last defeat Leeds had was a 2-1 defeat coming under Gary Monk back in 2016 and 2017. Leeds looking for their 5th consecutive away win in a row for the first time since February to April in 2001 when Leeds were in the Premier League back in those days, which is my era. I think I was, 19, 21? Maybe 21 at that time as well. And in terms of points from behind, from losing positions, only Ipswich have taken more points from losing positions this season. They've taken 25. Leeds have taken 20 points from losing positions. Love to know your thoughts on score predictions. Stick them in the chat now if you want to get your score predictions in. Not a whole lot left. It's an important game for Leeds. It is. And look, the reality is every single game between now and the end of the year is important. Leeds need to put a run together and keep the run they're on right now going and going and going and going. Keep the momentum moving. I keep saying it day by day, game by game, step by step. Keep the momentum moving forward and see how we get on. It will be hugely important for me. It really is. It's an important game. In terms of 3 points, not because of who it's against, not because of the local rivalry, because Leeds need another 3 points. And it keeps the pressure on everybody else. I said on the debrief, not a debrief, I said in my debrief of the Leicester game last week that what did I say again in the debrief last week's game? Momentum is hugely important. It's massively important. Every single game, the momentum is important. So we've got to keep this moving. We've got to keep it moving forward, and puts different pressure on other teams. Ipswich, for example, I keep saying this. Ipswich pressure is don't lose, because if you lose, Leicester and Leeds and could pull away from you. Southampton will close the gap there as well. You don't want to do that. You don't want to lose. That's a different type of pressure. For Leeds, it's just momentum. Keep the momentum kicking on. Keep it moving forward. There's some crazy scores going into the chat. I'll get to them in a second. So yeah, it is. It's a big one in terms of momentum. Leeds need to keep this going. Tommy, how you doing? Glad you caught it finally, mate. No problem at all. So yeah, brother is back. Team lineups as well. As I said, look, I'd say your Matteo Joseph could be toe with Pat Bamford for number 9 position. Gio Rutter probably comes back into the 10, the wide positions. Dan James now fully available. Does he go with Dan James in this match? Does Willie Young to come back in, take that place back again? Chris Somerville, you would imagine, will come straight back into the starting lineup. And then the midfield is the big one. If Ilya Gruev does have a problem that is keeping him out, if he hasn't trained this week, maybe Daniel Farke won't risk him. That means Archie Gray could start the game in midfield. Connor Roberts would be then in at right back. It's still a very strong team. Arguably, it's a stronger team in some aspects as well, especially going forward. But it shows the depth of the squad Leeds have, and also shows how important it was to bring in Connor Roberts in the first place, because that means it does free up Archie Gray to play in that midfield position should we need him. In terms of score predictions, Niall is going for a 3-0 win to Leeds. John is saying 4-1 Leeds. Nick Holden 2-0 Leeds. West Yorkshire Retro Gamer 3-1 Leeds. James Widdop 4-0 Leeds. Could be a big one. Stripper 3-0 Leeds. Bandy, we should get 5. The most positive man in the world, Bandy is. Danny Rumsey saying 6-0 to Leeds. Danny, hope you're well, mate. Justin Thomas could be down to 3 points before a 3 p.m. kickoff tomorrow. It very well could be, indeed, depending on how it goes. 10-0, John Gartside is saying to Leeds. Yep, and then better that one. Daniel Yedon is saying 15-0 Leeds. And then finally, Paul Brunt. How you doing, Paul? 2-0 to Leeds, I reckon. I don't think it'll be as big as we think it might be, but an early goal in the game will be very important. Renda saying 3-1 to Leeds. 2-0 Leeds as well. 2-1 from Morph. 2-0 from John. Yeah, all twos. The standard Leeds United scoreline, isn't it? Score prediction 2-1. Just set the fence a little bit. We just have one leg off it, just for the win. Yeah, and then Enzo saying 3-1 to Leeds as well, and Graham saying 2-1. Yeah, look, get an early goal, focus on what we need to do the job. Just do the jobs. I hope you're saying that because if you say the win, it'll backfire. I hope that 1-1 is because of that. But yeah, look, I'm sure we'll be fine. I'm sure we'll be fine. Go and do the job. This is a good side right now. We've got a lot of momentum. We were very, very good against Chelsea. Really good attacking going forward as well. And defensively, we've been very, very solid as well. Some changes right the back. Sam Byram is available for the game as well. Junior Firpo more than likely will keep his position there, but you're likely to see Ethan Ampadu come back into the middle of the defence alongside Joe Rodon for me there. Joe Rodon making some interesting comments tonight on the Legion on one of the clips doing the rounds on Twitter where he talked about all of the Welsh players playing in the Premier League together for Leeds. So maybe he's planting his flag in the Yorkshire turf to say I'm staying here, to do a Brendan Aronson on a staying with Leeds as well. So Paul Clark finally then 3-0. We'll wrap it up there, folks. Massive thanks as always for tuning in. If you want to check out today's news, you can. There's some interesting bits and pieces around there, but Under 18s is there. Also about Sky Sports trying to smooth out their relationship with the Leeds United fan base due to the chants that keep going against the club, which is an interesting one. There's some interesting pieces in that. Emmett, how you doing, mate? Yeah, feeling better, mate. Feeling better. I have taken my vaccines. It's got nothing to do with that. Let's not bring that into this. But yeah, no problem, mate. I'm all good and appreciate you asking me. No problem. So yeah, that's in the news today. You can go check out that stuff in the news. The link at the end of the video as well. And don't forget, 7:30, Not Another Leeds podcast. Down below is the link. Click on that. It'll bring you over to watch that. It's a very different podcast. It's a fun podcast. It's very enjoyable, very lighthearted. Highly recommend you go and checking it out. That's going to be it for me today, folks. Massive thanks as always. I'll probably be back on Sunday morning with a review of the Leeds and Huddersfield game, a short one similar to this, and then I'll be back on Monday morning with Leeds United news. Massive thanks to everyone that's been supporting the channel over the last couple of weeks. Incredible growth, 4,000 subscribers in the last 28 days, which is nuts. Really appreciate everyone who's new to the channel getting involved, and everyone that's been here since day one and joined along the way. I really do appreciate it. Thank you as always for supporting the channel. Back Monday morning. Go check out today's news. Go do that now. That's what you do, and then go check out Not Another Leeds podcast. You've got a night of Leeds content. Go check it all out. Enjoy yourselves. Fingers crossed for 3 points tomorrow, and have a great weekend. See you.